Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, I know, I'm sorry. I'm trying to text. I'm trying to do 5,000 things at once. Hang on. I just have to do this. There's a slight chance that my show is going to get interrupted by an electrician. I'm trying to hold him off. Hi, Susan. God damn. Okay.
Oh, let the guy come in. We don't care if he answers your door.
It's true. If he does come, I mean, never mind. It's just, when you finally get these guys and they're able to come or say they'll come, you just gotta jump on it.
Right.
Okay. How you doing?
I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm okay, I think.
Okay.
I think I am, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I actually planted some flowers. It should snow.
No, it's not going to snow anymore.
Well,
you're okay. You planted
tell that
them
to my
in
sister-in-law
Chicago?
in Denver.
Oh, well, that's different. That's altitude. Is it you're in Chicago?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you're safe.
I do too.
Yeah.
I actually think I have some good planting weather because your choices are either 50 or 90. So,
right, I know.
So 50's better.
50's definitely better.
And I was hauling big bags of mulch, by myself. This little 70-year-old lady, and some guy in the parking lot just came by and picked them up and threw them in my car for me.
You know what? I'm aware that I am not hearing you through my headset.
Where are you hearing me through?
Oh, now I am. Through my... God, dang it. Yeah, and Kevin, my producer just said you sound a little far away. I bet I do. I don't think anything was connected. Okay, I got it. Damn. Assuming I feel a little closer now, Kevin, let me know. Damn it. Okay, let's get going. This is ridiculous. Hey, have you ever heard of a guy? I've been reading this horrific piece. I don't even want to get into it right now about the history of Haiti that's been in the New York Times.
Yeah.
And in it, I came upon a guy that I didn't know of before, and I became fascinated with him. And I looked him up this morning. Oh, and of course, Safari cannot open the page. I'll find it some other way, not to worry. His name is Smedley Butler, I think.
Smedley Butler.
I think so. I think that's the name.
Smedley Butler, Major General Smedley Darlington Butler, nicknamed Maverick Marine.
There you go.
Was a senior United States Marine Corps officer who fought in the Philippine-American War, the Boxer Rebellion, the Mexican Revolution, and World War I.
Yeah, and he was
from
the most
Pennsylvania.
at the time. Was he from Pennsylvania? I didn't see that. At the time of his death, he was the most decorated Marine in American history. But if you read where he went to after his service, it's mind-blowing. He became just crazed anti-military. And because of what he himself witnessed. And I got to share some of these quotes with you because he was in Haiti. He was part of our horrible thing in Haiti that most Americans don't even have a clue about. Our brutal occupation of Haiti. So Smedley Butler, here's what he says, 1933. I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service as a member of this country's most agile military force, the Marine Corps. I served in all commissioned ranks from second lieutenant to major general. And during that period, I spent most of my time being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street, for bankers. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. Whoa!
Imagine spending your whole life doing something and then turning around and deciding that you'd misspent your whole life.
Well, but that takes a lot of courage.
Yes, it does.
To do that.
And to stand up and announce it, yes.
Yeah. And he went so far off that he really felt that we should never, he became so, I don't think he would have gone to the aid of England in World War II. He certainly wouldn't go to the aid of Ukraine now. He got to the point where all he felt the military should do, and he said in one quote, was to protect our shores, protect our nation from invasion, and to defend the Bill of Rights. And he also worried about the military becoming fascistic.
Right.
And he said, if you get 500,000 soldiers advocating anything smelling of fascism, I'm going to get 500,000 more and lick the hell out of you, and we're going to have a real war right here at home. He was talking to somebody else who was talking the kind of talk we hear too much these days. It was actually a guy talking about overthrowing Franklin Roosevelt.
Right.
And I mean, his quotes are just incredible. So I just got to say, he says, for a great many years as a soldier, I had a suspicion that war was a racket, but not until I retired to civil life did I fully realize it. Now that I see the international war clouds gathering as they are today, I must face it and speak out. So I think that's what he probably was an isolationist during World War II, although I don't, prior to World War II. Wow. It's just, if you look up his quotes, I got to tell you. And then he says, the normal profits of a business concern in the U.S. are 6, 8, 10, sometimes 12%. He should be alive now.
You're right.
But wartime profits? That's another matter. 20, 60, 100, 300, even 1,800%. The sky's the limit. Of course, it isn't put that crudely. It is dressed into speeches about patriotism, love of country, but the profits jump and leap and are safely pocketed. And here's the final one I'll read. He's just, wow. I helped make Mexico, and especially Tampico, safe for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. You see, Americans, we do not acknowledge this history.
They don't know it.
We're not taught.
We don't teach it.
Yeah, and exactly. And here he goes on. I helped purify, and this is the most decorated Marine at the time. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brown Brothers in 1902 to 1912. I don't know what happened to them. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interests in 1916. I helped make Honduras right for the American fruit companies in 1903. In China in 1927, I helped see to it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. Looking back on it, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was to operate his racket in 3 districts. I operated on 3 continents. Wow! Ho, ho, ho. Incredible. And we don't know this history. No. We hear little bits. I'm aware of. We were in, our military was doing stuff to protect, the banana plantations and the this in Central America. I had vague ideas about this stuff. But reading about what we did to Haiti in the last century, which I did not know. And I just read the first 3 paragraphs.
It sounds like we treat these countries like big box stores. And when we're done using them up, we just leave them empty and wasted and go off and find another.
Well, that's right. That's right. Okay, well, so let me take you to 1914. So this is like World War I is starting in Europe. We're not over there yet. I'm not sure exactly when it started. Wasn't it in 1914? And so Woodrow Wilson is probably president.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a December afternoon. 8 American Marines stroll into the headquarters of Haiti's National Bank and walk out with $500,000 in gold. They drove the loot to the shore, asked American soldiers in civilian clothes who kept watch. Once at the water, they loaded the boxes of gold and sped to an awaiting gunboat. The gold was in the vault of a Wall Street bank within days. But later,
you stole it?
Yeah, they took it. They took it. Now, it turns out that the bank in question was later to become what is today's Citibank, okay?
Oh.
Yeah, just saying. 1 year later, American forces, the Marines went back and they just took the country. They took Haiti. And we ruled Haiti. Did you know this? America ruled Haiti with brute force for 19 years. One of the longest military operations in American history, and most of us don't even know it. And even after we pulled the soldiers out in 1934, Haiti remained under the control of American financial officers who pulled the country's purse strings for another 13 years. I was starting to think that the history.
Well, I don't know. That's not raping and pillaging a country. I don't know what.
Yeah. And this is a country that had been raped and pillaged for the prior 300 years by France.
By France, right.
And we muscled France aside, probably when France was a little preoccupied with World War I happening in there. I don't know. But I had come to think that this history that we didn't know about our own country was mostly racial. But
no, we covered up all of our atrocities.
Oh my God!
But they were also mostly against brown people. You're talking about the country.
Well, that's right. Black and brown people. We stole from them. Dear God in heaven. So I got to tell you, if you really want a punch in the gut, check out. It's very long. It's like reading a book, but they're doling it out. The Haiti story that the New York Times had done. It's a classic Pulitzer Prize winner. There's no doubt about that. It's really well done, but hard to take.
Should be banned any minute in every public school.
That's right. Soon to be banned. Quickly get it read before before the neo-fascist Christian white nationalists take over.
Did you see that Margaret Atwood put out a fireproof copy of *Handmaid's Tale*?
No. Okay, so I sort of want to go in that direction with you, Susan. I was looking at, I mean, there's so many things that are, going on now that are awful. But the abortion thing that's going to truly happen, the fact that the majority of American women will live in states that will have outlawed abortion.
Well, that just take control the second that a woman is
pregnant.
Oh, and some want to do it, from conception.
They just did theirs.
The body is no. She has no rights. The body is no longer hers. I don't see how women even go to a doctor, because the only way to preserve your right to travel, if you are in such a state, is for no one to even know that you are pregnant.
You're pregnant.
You have to not seek prenatal help. You have to get yourself out of the state and take care of matters. And I mean, it's just, and here was my thought. I don't understand why, if we have a formula shortage, that we don't just take all of these women that no longer have control of their lives and force them to be wet nurses. I mean, if the state can do one, the state can do the other. If we are livestock, we are livestock. Let there be no mistake.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this. I mean, it is not overstating the case. It is not being hyperbolic.
No.
Which Susan can do. As
Who,
can
me?
I. Yeah. But to say that the moment a woman becomes pregnant, where we're going to be soon, if this...
that's been written into one state's new law.
Yeah, in one state after the other. You see the Republican-controlled states falling all over the place. That the women's bodies will essentially cease to be their own.
They lose all rights.
They become
a woman has
pregnant.
No rights when pregnant.
Right. Of her, I mean, there is not even. I mean, I would hope that people who don't like the idea of abortion would at least sit quietly and try to conceive, no pun intended, of what it would be like to have the 8 faceless, powerful men, the legal system, all arrayed against you, saying you have no control of that body. It belongs to us now.
Well, let's just do it this way. Let's just say you're a woman with an ectopic pregnancy in a town where, in order to get the proper medical treatment for a baby that cannot survive and a pregnancy that has a very substantial, if left untreated, is going to kill the mother. They have to have a committee. They have to meet. They have to pull everybody together. They have to decide whether it is appropriate to save your life. Guess how many women are going to die? I mean, we are sentencing women to die. This is just, let's stop with we're going backwards. Let's stop with you can't take away my rights. Let's just talk about murder.
And let's clarify.
Let's talk about right to life.
Yeah, let's clarify too that the women who will die are
poor.
Are poor, and
the rest of us can get in our airplanes and fly wherever we want.
Women of color, and this is what always happens when the powers that be, read white male, decide to flex their muscle. It is always, just as the poor Haitians found out, it is always the poor that suffer.
Well, it's always at least women and children that suffer, and I give you the Southern Baptist Church.
Well, no. Yeah, well, whatever.
Convention or whatever they are.
I'm trying to think of the misogyny that is at the heart of this. That's where
it's all about misogyny.
I know, Susan, but here's what I was thinking. The misogyny is a thread, sort of like anti-Semitism's a thread and racism's a thread, throughout human history.
Oh, well, Eve ate that apple and screwed up Adam's life.
So, yeah, but that's not really the beginning, because that was written by men at a time when men ruled the world.
Well,
but right, because that's in the Bible. Whenever the Bible got caught up.
I got it, but I mean that's just right, codifying the way they were living anyway.
Yeah. So what misogyny is hatred of women. Now, clearly, men are capable of loving women, but there's something going on that men, my sense is it's not hate as much as it is fear of women. And that it has always been thus.
Right. Freud has all sorts of things to say about that.
Well, Freud, fuck him. Freud, the mystery of the female body, the magic of the female body,
the power of the female body,
all of that has got to, I don't know, I think there's a fear, and then the need to possess that body, and the need and the fear that someone else might want to possess that which he owns or has. So that then makes men who then possess this magical body have to protect it, and by protecting it, deprive it of its ability to move around freely, and you just see it throughout how the right to own its own property, the right. Women, I mean, we are so new to the idea that women are.
Well, no, there have been societies. It's sort of interesting. Did you see that article? There was just an article about they're finding a grave of 4 Amazon women.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was clearly a society where men and women were equals.
Yeah, it's rare, Susan, and you know.
I understand that it's rare, but that
and there are
shows
matriarchal societies. There are.
Well, it wasn't even matriarchal as much as equal.
Well, yeah. Well, look, did they prevail? They're now part of an archaeological dig. The misogynist.
They lived with honor when they lived, and to me, that's a very important thing.
The misogynist one. So the fact that now you can have a Supreme Court of the United States.
The misogynists win, Lynn. Let's be clear. They win because we are at the mercy of our bodies. And men have used that to keep us down. When you take abortion away from us as an option, when you take birth control away from us as an option, we lose the right to be in control of our own pathway through life.
And this is what it's
all about.
But this is what the Republicans now are heading toward.
This is what they want.
Control. This is what they want. Now, where does it come from? And I did not get into this, although many of you might. If you look at Samuel Alito's leaked opinion, it's just full of this thinking that has been part and parcel of our canon, our legal canon, for centuries and centuries prior even to the existence of the United States of America. And all of this, that precedent, is he cites that precedent from when women not only didn't have control of their bodies,
they were executed for witchery.
For witchcraft, where they didn't have control of their own money or property. And in fact, in this country, that was the case up until relatively recently. I recall
women weren't allowed to have credit cards until 1971.
Thank you. I was an adult woman and I could not have a credit card. Wives could not have credit cards without their husband's permission.
Well, listen, my husband had been dead for 2 years when a bank called me to get his signature on a document for the house that I bought. You know, I mean, that's in this century, guys.
So I have to tell you that when you look at this Lord Matthew Hale, whose opinions from the 1600s are what Samuel Alito quotes something like 8 times, this is the era, this is the mindset that they want to return to.
Well, I'm just going to say if quoting that guy is in the final opinion,
they'll be shocked.
I will be shocked.
Yeah, I would be too. Okay, do you know in the United States of America? You know how how long it took in our history for it to be a crime in all 50 states for a man to rape his wife. I mean, is that a crime?
No. No, well, that's very recent.
It was 1993.
Yeah.
1993. In Great Britain, 1991.
Oh, I know this because I was in law school. I knew exactly where I wasn't going to live if I were married.
So part of all of this, too, is that seeing the family, and this is, again, you come back to where the Republicans' heads are at, seeing the family as its own little fiefdom that men rule. Men as the head of the family. And so things like domestic abuse and spousal rape, these are not things that broke through this long canon of, whoops, did the electrician come to your house?
No. Somebody I was trying to close my iPad because I thought it was going to make that nice little sound, and instead it got very loud.
And they also talk about how this whole idea of men, white men, needing to protect their women and their families was also a major pretext for Jim Crow. Because what's the idea? Well, what was always the idea? That black men were out to rape white women, right? And they had to be kept under control. That women needed to be protected by their menfolk, and that really held sway in the South, and it holds sway in these evangelical religious areas that now are the bedrock of this new Christian white nationalism that would deprive women of control of their own bodies, deprive black and brown people of full civil rights, and certainly gay people, and on and on. I want to, Kevin, my brother actually sent me this. This is about a slightly less than 2-minute rant from the pulpit This is a minister in America.
God, that was so awful. Yeah.
Well, here it is. This is a minister in America. And he is speaking to his congregants. Can you imagine going to a church on Sunday? And this is what you hear. Please listen.
I'm to the place right now. If you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon.
Hello.
You can get out, you baby butchering election thief.
Hello.
You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation.
Hey,
they
Kevin,
are God-denying demons that butcher babies and hate this nation.
I swear I was told.
They hate this nation. Get mad all you want to.
We got the sound.
I don't care if you stand. I don't care if you throw tomatoes. Praise God. I'm about to throw a microphone up in his house.
Honest to Pete.
Kevin, are you there? Just let me know one way or the other, buddy.
I don't think Kevin's there.
You don't think, but he has to be there. He's there in some form. I don't know. All right, never mind. I guess I was just kidding. But I have to tell you that when we do get it, because I made a point of sending it to him. Kevin? Oh, he says he's playing it. Well, I hope you're enjoying it. We're not hearing a damn thing. Okay, forget it.
He says he's
Jesus Christ.
Hey, well, tell him what it was.
Wait. Gigi's telling me that the audience hears it.
I don't hear it.
Well, you're not quite audience, I guess. So maybe then we should shut up.
Okay.
I don't know. Is it over by now?
I have no idea.
Is it over? Shit. Okay, I don't know if it's over. I just want to go on. This guy goes on talk about you want an insurrection. You haven't seen. He is advocating overthrow of the government. He is advocating violence toward satanic Democrats. He is saying that anyone who would vote for a Democrat should be expelled from the church.
You can't be a Christian and be a Democrat, is what he says.
You can't. That's what he says. You cannot be a Christian and be a Democrat. And I have to tell you that when do we get serious about
taxing these people?
Yeah, about why Milton just says the clip played with you yelling Kevin beneath it.
I'm sorry.
No,
I just got a text that it was heard, and it was awful.
Well, it was heard with us squawking. Well, obviously something wasn't right. We hadn't tried to do that before.
All right, well.
Live and learn. Live and learn. So here's something. Did you say, just talking again about the misogyny that's rampant. I read a book review, and it was about stewardesses. Remember them?
Yeah, they're now called flight attendants.
I know. I still screw up sometimes and call them stewardesses.
Me too.
But not very often, because I have a dear.
Do you
friend.
call them men stewards?
No,
He's a flight attendant.
I think flight attendant, right? I don't know. I have a dear friend who was a flight attendant, and she never.
Back in the days when they were stewardesses.
Yeah, no, but I don't think she was. It was because she never. Maybe a little bit, yeah, because she knows. by the time she got in, I think things were not quite as horrific. But just to again remind people of what life was like for women, because this is how men wanted it. Very, very recently. So when we think in terms of like this backlash that we're seeing now against Black people and women and all the people who have made the groups that have made progress in our lifetimes, the backlash is not like it's coming from groups that lived through that progress and resented it and damn well want to turn things back to when they had things.
Right. They want to grab them by the pussy. That's what they want.
Right. That's right. So, you know, when people started taking airplanes, I mean, actually did, that was when the business traveler sort of became a thing. Business people didn't fly a lot like they do now, and like they're not doing now, because now they figured out they could do a lot of things.
Right. But they did view the flight attendants as a smorgasbord.
The flight attendant, and what the airline saw this new business travelers as, you know, this is the way to build a business. So the stewardesses were there for one reason and one reason only: as sexual bait. That is the only reason they were there. Sexual bait. And you look at the advertising of the era. Now, many of you will remember these. There was an airline that had various gorgeous stewardesses, and they would say, "Hi, I'm Lynn. Buy me." You remember those?
I do. Wasn't there coffee, tea, or me?
I don't know about that one. Maybe. Air France. Have you ever done it the French way? It was overtly a sexual come-on. And lest you think, and the uniforms, at one point, these women were wearing hot pants, white boots. What was it? Braniff Airline unveiled at one point something called the Air Strip. And the stewardesses would wear uniforms that piece by piece throughout the flight they could shed. So that they started the flight, you know, seemingly fully dressed. And by the time the flight was over, they were, well, not wearing anywhere near as much. You can't make this up. And when the businessmen deplaned, it was part of the job for the stewardesses to let the men kiss them on the way out the door. Ugh. I mean, it's beyond belief. This is where we came from, and this is where a lot of people want to go. They were marketed as the Playboy bunnies of the sky. They were property.
And they were picked for appearance and demanded that they keep ridiculous weights.
Yes. You could be fired for you could be fired for being over 32. God forbid you got to your 32nd birthday. You were old. You had to keep weight. Airline doctors handed out boxes of methadone to these women to keep their weight down.
And their spirits up.
Yeah, right. So I here's another American Airlines ad. People keep stealing our stewardesses. This is an ad. And it shows a businessman dragging off a stewardess with his hand clapped over her mouth. Fly me. So that's where not too long ago we were. That's where the Republican Party would have us return, quite clearly. Quite clearly.
Well, you know, I feel like quoting, going back to the beginning and quoting what's his name? I only remember that Beauregard was his middle name. Butler. Wasn't that his last name? And
Smedley.
Smedley.
It's not Smedley. It's Smedley, Beauregard, Butler.
Yes. And say, I'm raising my army and I'm coming for you. I'm not going back. Easy for me to say I'm elderly, but I've been worried about this for years. The younger generation of women that didn't understand how recently their freedom had been won, and don't like the term feminist.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason we're feminists, and it's because men are trying to put us in the garbage and close the lid.
You know what? I just want to say it's not all men.
Not all men. We got plenty of men and
plenty of women.
Plenty of women, and it's not all men. And I know that we've got half the men on our side, I'm sure, and we've got 80% of the women, I would think. But
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Well, even amongst women that I knew to be very pro forced birth in the past, they, as they got older and opened their eyes, they totally moderated their position to, I don't have to have one, but it's not my choice to make for you, which is the proper position.
Yeah. Well, by the way,
because I guarantee you, I don't want one, but I'm not going to choose for you is only amongst people who think that they're never going to be in that situation. And boy, when you're in that situation, everybody thinks. Everybody
Are you aware
thinks.
of the House Judiciary Committee holding a hearing last week?
What, that were sea turtles?
No.
Okay.
About abortion.
Yeah.
And the Republicans on the committee had called an expert witness.
Yeah.
She is the president of Americans United for Life.
Yeah.
And her testimony was, her testimony was that when you turn on the lights in Washington, D.C., those are the bodies of aborted babies that are fueling that electricity.
Well, that's a really ghoulish and awful thing to say.
She flat out said, it is fucking a lie, okay? That is not how medical waste is disposed of. And
is that what she's saying? But that's just a ghoulish and disgusting.
She said, wait a minute. I'm quoting her. She talks about the aborted babies. Babies are thrown in medical waste bins. And in places like Washington, D.C., burned to power the lights of the city's homes and streets. This is testimony before the Congress. Let that image sink in for a
Wait a
moment.
minute. So the crematoria in Washington, D.C. are linked to the electrical grid?
No. These bodies are so much, they're thrown in the garbage. The garbage is then burned to create, which is bullshit, of course. I mean, it's all just bullshit from beginning to end. For one thing, if you masked all the aborted, the medical waste, it wouldn't light a 5-watt incandescent bulb for 2 seconds. I mean, it's just not, it's all just insane. But this is the kind, they will say anything under oath. And she went on, the next time you turn on the light, think of the incinerators. Think of what we're doing to ourselves. And the fact is that now in our Congress, people can make those statements.
And there's no cross-examination?
I don't know. I don't think, I mean, even if they were, you wonder, how do you even respond? And then and then Susan alluded to this. So this is the pro-life people, right? Who can't execute enough people. They believe in capital punishment. They wanna kill Democrats because we're satanic child
grooming pedophiles.
So you have this same crowd legislating forced birth, while just last week opposing emergency funding
to feed live babies
for baby formula.
And there's a
crisis,
right?
And they would not step up to help those babies and those parents. And some of those babies are ending up hospitalized. This is the same party. They voted against emergency funding for baby
listen,
formula.
they're spouting replacement theory out of one side of their mouths and forcing those very same people to have more babies. I mean, their platform is a circular firing squad of lies and nonsense that argues deftly both sides of the issue, always from the wrong side.
And let me say this, too. There was a leak. I'm just trying to prepare everybody for where we're heading. There was a memo that got leaked from the Homeland Security Department, which shows that they are anticipating a surge of violence. Who would notice? This is a country where we have mass shootings on a daily basis, and we don't even notice. So what would a surge of violence
I mean, Sandy
look like?
Hook feels like it happened 2 weeks ago because it happens so often, and those kids should be graduating high school this year.
Yeah, no, we're okay. Our government is anticipating a surge of violence if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, probably next month. And it is an unclassified memo, and it's based on social media threats. And the threats are coming from both sides of the spectrum.
Well, who are the right-to-life people wanting to kill once they've won the abortion?
Oh, they just like to kill.
Yeah, they just pick out someone else.
They warn that violent extremists might target companies that manufacture or sell abortion-related medications and organizations that fund and facilitate travel for those seeking abortions.
No, we're going to bomb the airlines.
No, I think they're going to be, they're going to create a situation where, we're going to have to immediately establish huge networks to help women. If you look at a map of the United States, it's harrowing because it's a big country, and geographically, most of it will have illegal abortion. Geographically. So anyone living like on the Gulf Coast, you are thousands of miles away from accessing. And then where some states actually still have some abortion, there's one clinic in the entire state, which also means that poor women in that state cannot comfortably access abortion. I've never known anything. I remember asking when I was at the ACLU, how is it possible to have something that is a right? That the Supreme Court said is a legal medical procedure. How is it possible to have that right encoded in the law, but to have other laws made that make it impossible to access the procedure, that right? How is that possible? But that's why the court wants to bring it back to the states, because the states are the ones that have made it possible to access.
Right.
So anyway, they are saying that get ready.
This is just the beginning, and what's going to happen to women is I don't understand how people can't see this. Women are going to die for lack of seeking prenatal care because it will be too dangerous for them to seek prenatal care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great.
So I don't understand this. We know from history that abortion doesn't go away. I don't care if it's illegal in your state. It will be available in your state. It will just be available from your state from, shady, creepy characters. You're just setting about killing women. We should just be very clear about this. For every unborn child you save, you're killing 5 women. And it's despicable. And for women to want to kill other women is flat out nuts.
Well, these are the women that are comfortable in living in a patriarchal culture, or whose religion has blinded them to the
as religion and after religion comes out to clearly point to each and every one of them, to the men amongst them that have brutalized their women and their children and lied about it. There is no denomination that is spared this particular ugly truth.
Oh, you're talking about those lovely Southern Baptists now.
I'm talking about every of them. You can talk about any of them where the women are excluded and the men are in control. Every one of them.
So Oklahoma, we were saying, yeah. So the minute of conception. So
minute of conception, because we all know exactly when that is.
Every time, you tap a roll in the hay, you can think, whoa, we just made a baby. Do you think that? Well, Oklahoma's going to be thinking it. So during the so-called back and forth before they overwhelmingly passed this law in the Oklahoma legislature, one of the lone Democrats asked this question of one of the Republicans. Can you explain to me why you are okay with a person carrying on a pregnancy after they've been raped or after instances of incest? I mean, you're okay with that? And here's the woman.
Right. It's only 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Here's the woman Republican who co-sponsored the bill. Remember, the questions are, you're okay with, let's say, he's a 12-year-old girl raped by her father, pregnant, and has to carry that to term. She says, I am okay with preserving the life of that child. That child was not part of that decision. Nor was the raped child.
They just, you woman. Don't understand. The second that anything is implanted in that body, that person disappears in the eyes of the forced birth movement. That person simply disappears, loses all rights to the possibility of somebody else in theirs.
The Oklahoma bill would also allow lawsuits against anyone who helps in any way. Helps pay for an abortion.
Well, they better come arrest me.
Get across state lines. Yeah, let's all go. We'll all go to jail.
Yeah, come arrest me because I've been doing it for a long time.
They're saying people who donate to charitable organizations that help women in restrictive states, like all you Planned Parenthood.
Because we have no right to free speech, which would be how you donate your money. Corporations have a right to free speech, but people don't.
Those who sue people like let's say me, for in any way helping, if they get a conviction for me, they get, according to the law in Oklahoma, they're going to get awarded $10,000, like a bounty. I suggest that all women, listen, you need to protect yourself. On the first day of every period, you need to document that, and you send the whatever device you are using to collect your flow to the house. You just better prove it up. Every month you send in your tampons, you send in your pads, and you send them directly to the offices of the guys that voted for this and the women. You might be onto something there, Susan. You might be.
Well, you have to prove it up in order to live your life.
Okay, here's one more thing if you can handle it. All these bills that are banning abortion now, starting at fertilization, would effectively ban a whole lot of contraception.
That's right.
Because that's how contraceptives like IUDs work. They prevent implantation after there's been, after the sperm has breached an egg. They don't let it implant. So this is where we're heading. And yet, according to all the pundits, we are looking at a Democratic debacle in November.
Yeah, well, apparently we want it back the way it was. I do not understand.
No, see, people just want lower gas prices. They want lower gas prices, and they're not even thinking of this.
Well, they aren't going to get lower gas prices, no matter who's in.
That's correct.
So, screw that. Use your head.
Well, maybe, Susan.
Democracy, maybe. Gas. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God Almighty. So anyway, hey, we're done.
Are we? I'm gonna go take a sedative.
Okay. I already took my.
Do you know that my doorbell rang in the middle of that, and there was it wasn't the electrician. My doorbell rang, and it was a guy going, "Did you complain about rats?" And I said, "No, but I am."
But if you want me to, I sure can.
I've been doing it, but I can't talk to you right now.
Well, I'm hoping the electrician shows up now. At least he didn't. Anyway, whatever. So, all right, guys. That's that. God help us all. That's all I can say. God help us all.
God
all
help
right,
us
so
okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And I'll see the rest of you tomorrow, maybe, huh? And Kevin, I'm sorry if I was screaming. Sorry. I'm not the coolest head. God knows. All right. Goodbye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.